We just did a survey in the U.S. and it was almost half of the U.S. drivers admitted to driving on a bald tire or had a blowout on the road because they knew about it, but they didn't have the
warning.
There's no warning, so they just forget about it. Other things going on.
It's a good use case.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome everyone to a brand new episode of the Auto Tech Show. My name is Mark Babin, your host. It's great to have all of you watching today. Thank you for being with us on this great new episode. Now today we're talking all about the value of interconnected data within the automotive servicing industry and how the right solution suite can be key success factors in the coming years. It's a big topic and one that many in the industry are going to want to pay attention to, as it could be your key to growing revenues in the coming years. Now, joining me for this episode, I'm excited and honored to welcome the Managing Director at Bosch Connected Industry, Susann Herrmann. Bosch, a brand, of course, that needs no introduction, continues to lead the industry forward through innovative solutions that are constantly improving how operators in the automotive industry conduct their business. Susann, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for a moment of your time today. I know you're very busy, but I'm really looking forward to a topic that I know is close to your heart and one that you have a lot of passion for. So thank you so much for being with me today.
And thank you for the invitation. Thanks.
Absolutely. So let's dive straight in. I'd love to start today diving straight into the heart of what we're discussing. We know how important the customer experience journey is becoming in general service-based industries. Automotive, of course, quickly becoming a major role in this. So with that, how can interconnected data improve customer experience when we look at automotive servicing industry?
I think it's a very interesting and bright topic, and as we hear for the digitalisation, and then of course this is one aspect of it, customer experience. Mm-hmm. What do customers want? What do customers need? And what they are willing to pay for? This is one big question we all need to ask ourselves. And interconnected data, I think within digitalization in the next couple of years will play a major part in different business models, success of companies, even difference of generations. We had it before a little bit. What is important for generation X, Y, Z? So I think it becomes a very, very important part. And it's still a difficult subject because, on the other hand, they are the companies and they need to protect a little bit their skills, their business models, their insights with data and transparency of data. There is a little risk, and I think there needs to be a balance.
There has to be a balance, you're right, because you can't go one way or the other, and we see what happens when companies do that, of course. Now, you touched on data, and I'd love to bring that up because it's a topic that seems to come up in almost every conversation I have these days. It's the center of everything. When we look at the role of overall efficiency and the role that data can play within that, where do you see the value in that?
Where do I see the value of data? The question, first of all, is what kind of data do we talk about?
Great point.
Is it the usage of the car? Is it how I drive my car? Then it goes to insurance, the age, whatever, how often I use my brake, for example, how hard I do it, actually, how fast I drive, whatever, those kind of data. Or is it more data like where is the next garage, where is my tires or not really well working, or my gasoline. So some aspects we still have already in the car with the data connected, but others, there is more to come. I personally would love to have some kind of interconnected data. For example, I can say, okay, please remind me for the next car check 3 weeks in advance, and if possible, make an appointment for me.
That's the way it should be.
That would be customer experience I would love to have.
Yeah.
And I would even like to pay for.
That's something that you would find extra value in from an OEM or something.
Yeah.
So it's important then, what you're saying is for that operator to identify the data that they want to take advantage of when it looks at what processes to make efficient, what customer, approach to look at. They really should understand and look at what did they want to address first. Because there's lots of different angles.
Exactly. And what are the different customer sets, the different business models behind it, use cases behind it, and so ask everybody who drives the car. There's a lot of people around the world, and I guess there is the possibility to cluster and to identify what are probably so with the TÜV or the the appointments is my point, but I guess there is some other people out there, they're also willing to pay for that. So identify what is necessary, what's probably a safety aspect as well, what is a car aspect, but what is also a personal aspect. It would be great.
Yeah, and really make a difference, I think, to a lot of the generations coming up as we learn to live with technology more. It should be there to help us once in a while.
Exactly. The other aspect I'm always struggling with, of course, interconnection of data, transparency has to do with everybody knows where I am, what I'm doing, and the question is asking a lot of people asking when I talk around, do I want that? Do I want my data to be available for everybody? Do I want to have my phone always informing the most of the world where I am? That is, to me, it's the not so good aspect of digitalization and availability of data. Because what about my privacy? What about no, I don't want to be reachable 24/7, for example. You know.
And there we maybe see some generational differences as well. And that leads to the next point I want to bring up is, of course, there are challenges when we talk about change and we talk about implementing new things. So building on that storyline, I'd love to know from you, what can people expect? What should operators expect when they talk about common challenges when looking at integrating this type of data or looking at interconnected data? There's got to be some common challenges that people face that you've seen. This being one of them.
It has been one of them. What challenges could be an operator have? Probably it's the process designed in digitalization not able to manually go back.
Okay.
Meaning you have a template, you have your questions, operator or the service person ask, and then there's a standard, but the standard is not usable for each person or for each situation. So this is some, I think, advantage we have to face. But also, I guess we're living in a time where we declare a lot of freedom. Everybody can have their own ideas, their own personality. And the question is, how do I peg this into business models, into basically standards a little bit? Otherwise, we have a customized data concept which will not work. It's not handleable. So I think those are the advantages to find a good balance.
Okay, so that's kind of where it has to start. And what you're saying is, because everything can't transfer over, really understanding the process you want to go to is going to be the best way to address the challenges before they even start.
Probably, yes. I think what we can do is go one step after the other one, and then learn after each step and identify what has been a good point at the step and what is, needs to be changed. Let me put it that way.
Understand. So what would an operator do? Say they go down a path and they experience a challenge and it's collateral. It's the end of the road for that. Like, there's no way to recover from it. Is the best way to do it then just start over, to reevaluate their processes? Like, how would you suggest that someone handle that?
I think, from my experience, there is no standard answer. It's no yes or no. It's depending on the situation. It's depending on the circumstances. It's depending on the time. It's depending on the money I have available. So it's a bit of difficult answer.
I understand, every
question.
Case is very unique.
Yes, definitely.
The company is unique, and operators' resources are unique.
Yeah, and skills are unique, and the budget is probably unique. So, of course, I think most of the time, if you fail, go back and think about a different way. But sometimes it's not possible because you're way too far. So then, of course, go toward the goals. And try to achieve your goal anyway.
So there's going to be challenge, and there's always risk, of course, with doing this. But if we look at the other way around, the risk of not doing anything is actually higher than doing something. So the challenge of doing something is going to a risk to the operating processes, to your processes, to your team. But not doing anything is going to always be worse, especially now, right?
Exactly. And what we see is, digitalization has become everywhere available. It's part of our life. We Google, we have apps, we have a lot of digital tools already installed. So we are on the way. When it comes to cars, I think there is some benefit. I thought about it. For the generation 60 plus, probably they want a little bit less of buttons, a little bit less of digitalization. And this is something I would like to wish when I look at my parents, for example, older people, make it a little bit more simple.
Yeah.
So make it for the generation Y, for the generation 60 plus, make it available for this generation to handle that and to get probably 2 or 3 things with digitalization. A little hint, they like CD pockets still in the car and not connect with their phone because they're not able for it. This is something I would like to.
I guess that comes down to prioritizing what you want to digitalize and what you want, which pieces of data you want to be interconnected. Because let's look at that 60 plus example. Maybe they don't need it in the vehicle, but maybe they need it for the servicing or that side where things. They don't have to remember as much to service the car on time because the data that's provided from the vehicle or from their service process, from their OEM dealership or whatever, that data helps manage their routine better to get the most out of the vehicle, keep them safe on the road. So I guess it's really understanding what you want that data to be interconnected for. What's the point?
Yeah, exactly. Or my brakes or my tires need to be changed from winter to summer, right? Give them a reminder.
Yeah, even tire safety. We see a lot of we just did a survey in the US and it was almost half of the US drivers admitted to driving on a bald tire or how to blow it on the road because they knew about it, but they didn't have the
warning.
There's no warning. So they just forget about it. Other things going on.
It's a good use case.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
So having that as an example, if the data from that tire, say example, was better managed by the servicing provider, that situation can be avoided. Easier customer experience.
Easy customer experience, and I think there will be customer paying for that service.
Yeah. And we're going to have to see it because we're seeing all these vehicle manufacturers now charging monthly fees for windows, heated seats. So the value has to go up. And that service has to rise to match that level of demand.
Yeah.
But you'll pay for it if it's of benefit to you.
Exactly. And the benefit for everybody, for every individual is different.
Yeah.
But there are clusters, I'm pretty sure of it.
There has to be. If it's you and I, then there's more.
There's more, and there's generation, there's probably male and female, whatever.
Yeah. Everything
you
unique.
can make a distinction and clusters,
As generations come up and it becomes a little bit more tricky.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the right suite of solutions for interconnected data. Now we know that having the right suite can be a really strong asset for you. It can save a lot of headaches. And I'm sure a lot of listeners have maybe learned the hard way of maybe approaching the brand new tool and going forward, and then it doesn't work down the way, like you said. So taking the time to think about what you need and that develop that suite of solutions, I think is key. And I think that's fairly clear. Now, knowing this, in your opinion, what are the key features that operators should look for in developing their suite? Yeah,
but what I think is that they need, of course, are some templates.
Okay.
So how do I talk, or guidelines, how do I talk to my customer? What are the answers? Then also some rules, response time, whatever. Then they need to have a good IT system where the data can interconnect and maybe transfer to a garage, for example. So if I call as a customer, my operator's like, there's some mistake happened, inform somebody else would be great.
That transparency.
Yes, exactly. So this would be a tool set, and then also they have to interconnect with each other, sharing experience, FAQs, whatever. So they have to have a platform to communicate with each other or to get information themselves.
Yeah, the left hand has to talk to the right hand. I see it in an example, and I'd be curious on your experience with this, is the team developing the solution isn't really connected to the team using the data.
Exactly.
And that's more common, I think, than we think in large companies. How do you address that? Do you need a middle team? Like, how would you address that?
It's you can address it with testing.
Okay.
You
Great
can
example.
address it with really giving feedback, giving respectful feedback, but taking time to, if you get a solution, if you get an tool suite, test them, and take the time to say what are the good sides on it, but what are the advantages. Let me put it that way, and then take the time, sit together, discuss it, and maybe find a compromise. So technical-wise, but also user-wise. This is probably, to me, the key for success. Technical-wise, it needs to be, of course, working, but the user needs to be able to let it work.
Yes. And that takes time.
And
testing.
Time.
I think that's a great example, because I think people maybe skip that in order to speed production or something. They want to be first to market, and then there's issues because they didn't test how it's all connected.
Yeah, and this is very simple. If you have a smartphone and you have some apps, I don't know how you do this, but with me is I want to have, and I install the app, I put the buttons, and after the third time it's not working, I delete the app, because there is another app doing the same thing. It's called differently. This is, it's exchangeable. So we lose interest very quickly.
Yeah. And you don't have that time anymore. Attention spans have gone down and down.
Yeah, you don't have time anymore, or there is another possibility. I come back to my possibilities I could use. So to have it together, and if you want to put something together with data, with tools, you need to work together. Development, user, whatever fits into it. IT systems needs to be into an in a team together.
So can you touch on how you and your team have adopted this, adjusting to this set of tools and developing the right set of tools to continue to push the boundaries forward?
The really benefit Bosch has is Bosch is a big company, has production, has sales, has everything inside. So we're able to test and develop everything, not with customers, but with ourselves, basically. Exactly. And this is a big benefit Bosch has. So when we go with tool suites, data exchanging, interlocking, production with MES systems, for example, we have a lot of experience because we tested in our own environment. And then, of course, we can adapt customer requirements, because then we know exactly how the way goes. What kind of the first thing is, you have to address the requirements, then you have to develop the software or maintain the software, depending on that. And so this is coming from a different company. I'm 7 years now with Bosch. I come from different companies. I see it as a big, big benefit Bosch has to able to have the whole end-to-end in-house and controlled, and then of course can provide the customer the best benefits, because we have the testing done. We had this morning a discussion about agile project management and customer giving feedback and developing software. And I asked myself, if I were the customer, would I be really willing to develop a software? I'm paying for it. This is the big benefit Bosch has, and we have a lot of bright and very innovative colleagues.
You have to.
Yeah, definitely.
I think empowering those people gives a company like yours a lot of benefit as well. You don't get stuck in a box, but empowering those creative thinkers as well.
Exactly, and then we have a very good mindset to really involve not just your department, but other departments.
That's what I was going to ask, how that interdepartment connectivity relates to the end product.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's all people working on it. So if the mindset is great at the company, and it is at Bosch, a little bit of advertising, but it's a great company to work for, because people are open-minded, people are respectful. It's very important, and there is enough time for innovation, and this is the success story.
So the culture supports innovation because it enables creativity and enables these people in the teams to talk.
Yeah, and to me, it's very important to have the positive leadership. Yeah. So not a leadership but just fears and
constructive.
but motivative, positive. This is something. What is the whole picture makes it
always underappreciated,
working,
but great when you have it. Yeah, fantastic. That's a final note, and it's brilliant. I think it's a nice way and a nice inspiration for other companies to think in this way, because it's worked for you guys for many, many years. You've enjoyed the change, obviously, as you mentioned, and clearly you're going to continue to be innovative leaders, attending events like this and continuing to force others to innovate and push the boundary forward. So I love that. So fantastic notes, Susann. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any final notes before we sign off today? Anything that we missed?
No, I think thank you for the great discussion. Actually, a subject we need to think. Yeah, and there's more to come, I'm sure.
That's exactly what I want to hear. There should always be more to come. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
And to everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Hopefully you've learned a lot. I certainly have. Your notepads are probably full. If you have any questions about what you heard today or you want to add to the conversation, just go ahead below and you can leave those in the comments. You'll also see our LinkedIn descriptions in this video, so you can reach out to us there, of course. We encourage conversation. We love to talk back and answer questions you may have, so please feel free to do that. And with that, we'll bring this episode of the Auto Tech Show to an end. Thank you again so much for watching wherever in the world you may be. We'll see you on another episode very soon. Bye for now.